Hi guys, Leona here. It is terrific. It is our virtual date. We have a new author for the new month. It is May, and today is 5/5. It is May 5th, which means that it is an energy portal day, which is really exciting because the energy today is really potent. So that can mean two things. Either one, you're feeling like, oh, I need to just rest and digest, or, ooh, I am so ready and rocking and rolling and ready to dive and lean into the energy. No matter how you're feeling on the spectrum, just honor your body. That's the number one thing in an energy portal day. And the month of May is an intense month because we had a full moon in the beginning of the month, and then we had a full moon that's going to happen at the end of the month. So having those two full moons in the month of May makes the month of May a really supercharged, really energy potent month, which is exciting, but also means that it's a lot. So you want to make sure that you're honoring your body. Right now, I am tuning in live from what I call my Zen Den. If you've never seen it, let me give you a quick little view. Got it all set up for my stretch session for tomorrow. I've got all my energy healing devices and treatments here. It is crystal gridded and surrounded with love. I have sound healing and frequency healing with my mag healy, all the things, because we need sometimes, because we're energetic beings, to reset our bodies. So if you are in the Jacksonville area, remember that I am here to help realign and allow yourself to really hit that reset button. Now, what's exciting is that you guys know I love breath work. I've been studying breath work through yoga and different practices for many, many years. And with Genius Unlocked, I'm getting my somatic breath coach certification. And so when I met this amazing next author that's coming on, Cynthia, we both said, oh my God, breath is our superpower. And it's super exciting to have another practitioner in the Jacksonville area that I got to meet live to be able to bring her on. I'm just adjusting my chair a little bit. And so she is a fitness coach, which is really, really exciting. And Cynthia should be joining us very shortly here live. And the cool thing is that she understands for fitness, for runners, for athletes, that breath is their superpower in order to really recharge and reignite their workouts, to be able to help them with endurance, different techniques. Now, I had a cool story today happen. Breath work doesn't have to happen necessarily in a yoga studio, or if you're an athlete. Breathwork can happen in the middle of a crisis. And today when I was getting lunch, I was getting some tea and soup from Panera. I ran into a girl that was literally like crumbled on the side, having a hard time breathing, in a full panic attack. I asked if I could help. I told her I was a medical provider, I was a massage therapist, and I have certification in first aid and CPR, and if I could help. And she said, yes, I feel like I'm going to throw up. I'm having a panic attack. I need some water. Her boyfriend that was with her didn't want to leave her side. So when I went through the drive-in, I got a nice large ice water, brought it to her, sitting in my car, window open. She eventually was in his car, sitting in the passenger side, and she just was in this labored breathing. And I literally said, is it okay if I breathe with you? And she said, yes. So we literally spent time going with a very normal 4-count breath in through the nose, and that 4-count exhale through the mouth, like you're blowing through a straw. And what it does is helps to reset your nervous system. It really helps you to tell the nervous system it's safe. Once we did four rounds of the breath, I had her take a sip of water. I said, we're going to do it again. We did 4 breaths in, 4 breaths out, 4 cycles, drink of water. We kept doing that. It created a pattern. Then I said, can you feel your hands and fingers? And sometimes when people are in such state of panic, they get numb and they don't feel. She goes, no, I feel it. I said, okay, put your hands on your chest. I wanted her to feel the rise and fall. I wanted to have her connect to her heart. We kept breathing. We kept breathing. We kept breathing. I kept counting. I kept telling her, inhale that breath, life force, exhale stress and distractions. Once she started being able to catch her breath, getting out of that super, high state of trauma, like she was literally in a panic attack, she was like, oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're an angel. And I said, you're welcome. This is what I do, 20 plus years and 14 plus certifications. what I'm so excited about is that I got to use breath, which is a superpower, to be able to help calm and regulate her nervous system during this crisis, which is amazing. Hi, Cynthia. I see that you're here. You want to make sure you add yourself onto camera. I've already set the invite, and you want to make sure you add yourself into. I'm sending you the request one more time. You're going to click accept, and you're going to come back on as I finish this amazing story. Yay, there you are. Welcome,
Hey,
welcome. Amazing. Couple little tips because we're on split screen, pushing yourself back a little bit helps. And then wearing earbuds if you have a hard time hearing also kind of helps make with clarity. So if you guys are watching this live, can you give us little thumbs up if you can both hear myself and Cynthia? Say hi, Cynthia.
hello.
Awesome. I can hear you. If you guys are listening, put hashtag live. Give us some thumbs up if you can hear us okay. I'm so excited to have you because, of course, divine timing, right? Today's the 5-5 energy portal day. And, we talked when we first met, when we were both doing our podcast, that breath is our superpower. Well, today I got to use breath work to help a lady literally in the parking lot of Panera that was in absolute crisis and in a full swing panic attack, use her breath to ground back into her body and come out. Her boyfriend had put a Garmin on her and her heart rate was over like 100. She was
Oh
sitting,
my.
guys. It's not like she was working out. It was over 100. Full panic attack. Couldn't take a whole breath in, was crying hysterically, couldn't get words out. By the time I sat there and talked to her, eventually we got her hands in her heart. We started breathing in for 4, out for 4, counting with her. After 4 cycles, I'd have her sip of water. Then we did the 4 cycles again, had a sip of water. We kept regulated down, her connected to her body. And then I said, put your hands on your knees. Do you feel your legs? Yes. I had her keep breathing. I was literally sitting in my car. She's sitting in her car, and I'm doing coaching breath work, like spiritual life coaching in a parking lot for someone in a panic attack today using breath work. And when she eventually got herself out of it, and we started talking, I said, hi, I'm Leona. I said, I'm actually a spiritual life coach and a body worker and a healer. And I do breath work. And it's so funny because my month of May author is breath. And here we are. It's not just for athletes or meditations or yoga. It literally is a superpower in the middle of a crisis. And she kept saying, like, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're an angel. My God. Finally, when we got her settled, we got out of our cars, we hugged each other. She got my number and she was like, you're literally a blessing, an angel. Like, I can't believe that you stopped. And then I said, how cool is it that I got to be able to do a random act of kindness? Remember, guys, kindness can be free, right? A
Mm-hmm.
random act of kindness connected her to her breath and to her body and got to show her that breath is literally your superpower. She went from freaked out to all of a sudden the Garmin was at 70, which was like okay for her sitting.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, are you okay? I said, do you feel safe enough and grounded enough in your body, calm? She was actually talking to me for me to go now. She's like, yes, thank you so much. And then she said, have a great day, you too. And like we left and it was crazy. And I was like, of course, the night of the 5-5 energy portal day, when energy is heightened and we're talking about breath work is your superpower, I would use breath work in a parking lot of Panera to help someone in a crisis, right? Like, but of course.
Yeah, that's amazing. Um, yeah, my book is geared toward runners, but actually anybody can find their breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we all do, and we actually take it for granted, right? M- You
And
know, we
typically
do.
do it wrong.
Exactly. We we all do. Even practitioners do it wrong. I'm guilty. I have to say that, but I think that that's an amazing story, and I'm so glad that you were there to help with something as simple as breath, right?
Mm-hmm.
We
It is.
breathe every day, but it's not what you do, it's how you do it.
Exactly. And a lot of us are breathing incorrectly. And when you breathe in and out of your mouth, you're stimulating and you're only in your chest. I had to make sure she got into her belly, that she felt herself. She was in through the nose, blowing through a straw out, really regulating that counting, even counting like guided meditation helps quiet the
Mhm.
mind monkey, right? She was in crisis. Her mind wasn't thinking and her body was just reacting. And I needed to get her mind to calm down so that her body react to the calmness and come back in. So I thought, well, of course it happened today and of course it's happening in the moment to be able to share this. So I'm so excited that you wrote this amazing book for athletes, but like you said, breathing is for everybody. So what was the inspiration behind this, Cynthia?
Well, my lived experience, actually. So, as a child, and that was many, many moons ago, um, I was born with asthma. So I have never taken breath for granted. In fact, my inhaler was my companion. I could not go any place without it. And back in the day, we didn't have the type of healthcare that we have today. And my family didn't have access to healthcare. So they did the best they could. And even sometime, and I just have to deviate just a little bit. They even did old wise tales, right? Somebody told my grandmother, like, if you stand her in front of a tree and hammer a nail over her head, when she grows beyond the nail, she won't have asthma anymore. Well,
Love
guess
it.
what? I still have asthma. So that definitely did not work.
I
So
love it.
that was my very first lived experience. And so I outgrew that. Well, not really outgrew, but overcame that. But then some bigger things, bigger milestones hit. I had a son that also has asthma. And it is so disheartening to look at your child struggle for breath, uh, particularly when they can't talk and tell you, what's wrong. But what I can say is when I looked at him, the one thing that I did know is that I was at a better place because I had lived this experience myself and I had acquired some skills that I knew that together we could make a difference. We had better health care, better access. I mean, even when he was little, we made games out of his triage, right? So who knew blowing bubbles would improve your lungs or singing, just simple things like that. And so I became his advocate, not only when he was little, but as he grew, because even at school with the coaches, they didn't understand asthma. So
Mhm.
they, I don't want to say bullied, but made him feel a little inferior because he couldn't keep up. There were times he just could not push through. So that's another milestone. And then, for whatever reason, I decided to become a runner, right? Well, at first I couldn't even run a block. And that was probably because of my fitness, but more importantly, it was because of my breath. And where I'm at, we moved to Jacksonville, and from January to May, it's something about the vegetation. I just cannot breathe. And so
That
in my
tree
running,
pollen. Oof.
it's bad. So
Yeah.
in my running groups, you hear people all the time talk about, oh, I just can't breathe, or oh, it's so hard. Oh, it's so this. So I decided to pull all my life, all my lived experiences together. Plus, I have an academic research background, and did the research and pulled all this information together specifically for runners. But like we just talked about, it's not just for runners. These simple techniques can help in one's everyday lives, whether you're running on the track, running in the airport from gate to gate, right? These airports are huge, and it's like,
Atlanta Sprint. Atlanta Sprint.
exactly, it's like trying to get from gate. And how about trying to get up a flight of stairs? You still need to find your breath. In
Mhm.
fact, when I joined this this live today, I had to find my breath. I mean, so and it's something just like the exercises that you went through with the lady you met today. I did something very similar. I just took 3 cleansing breaths to calm down, and that was my secret sauce, my superpower. And I calmed down, and here I am. And so I said all that to say that was the motivation for this book. I think it's so much needed, particularly in the running world. So many people go out and run or even walk, and they train for pace, right? They train for time, and they do a lot of training, and all that training is good. But the one thing that they forget is they forget about their breath. And breathing is a muscle. Your respiratory system requires that you work it for it to work properly. And so, anyway, like you can tell, I can talk about this breathing thing for a lot. So I'm going to pause and see if you have another question.
Yes, perfect. So I will also reflect that doing my somatic breathwork coaching, doing the breathwork that I've gotten more intentional with yoga, being an asthmatic myself, it's amazing now that my muscles and my breath support, I can, when they're leading like a big journey, I have noticed that over time with practicing, because yoga practice, meditation practice, breath practice. It's the reason why it's a practice. The more you practice, the better you get at it.
Hmm.
I've now seen when I start doing some of the journeying breath work and they tell us to hold and then release and then hold at the bottom.
Are you there?
Sorry, I got a call and it disrupted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So the more I've been practicing with the breath work, it's amazing. I can sustain that hold way longer than when they tell me to breathe before. When
Hmm.
I do, like, if we decide to do a primal scream or any kind of vibration or movement or sound with it, when I do energy work, it's amazing how much longer I can sustain those now. And so it is a muscle and it is such an important muscle. And the more you practice it, even being asthmatic myself, it is amazing to see the before and after when you start practicing with some of that time, how it really improves the capability, the capacity that you can breathe in, and also the sustainability that you have and the endurance. So with your research that you have done,
Hmm.
what have you seen? Like, what are some of the numbers? Because I've felt it, personally, it improving, right? In the
Hmm.
research that you were doing, did you see like a percentage of how people's breath, when they actually practice for so amount of time, was there like a 10% improvement? Like, what were some of the numbers of the research that came up for you?
Okay, I actually didn't get a number, but most of the research that I did come across always stated that there was a substantial increase, and it varied based on the circumstance, right?
That makes
So,
sense.
yeah, so for asthma, then there's folks with COPD and other types of respiratory ailments, they differ. But the one common thread was the more you work it, the better off you are.
That
So,
makes sense. That makes total sense. I tell people, because I do fascial stretch therapy with my clients and I stretch my clients. I'm like, "Are you stretching?" They're like, "Oh yeah, I stretched last week." And it's like, okay, that's say if I asked if you ate healthy and you're like, "Yeah, I had broccoli once last week." Like, that's not really practicing and doing the things, right? So yeah, the more we do it, the better that we get at it. So, for those that maybe aren't at that collegiate athlete level, what would be one of your favorite techniques that you have found that has helped improve the breath work that anybody can do, whether you're an athlete or, as my dad calls himself, he plays armchair tennis. So he plays the Wii
yeah.
tennis sitting in the armchair, right? So for the armchair athletes to the real athletes, what is one of your favorite techniques in the breath world that you could share with us tonight?
Okay. Well, there's a few because there are what I consider the fundamental techniques. And you hit on several just since we've been talking. So, the first thing um, you know, I like to say to folks is you need to understand why breath work is important. And so, one of the main techniques is the belly breathing or the diaphragmatic breathing. Uh, so many of us cut ourselves short, right? Uh, we breathe from here, exactly, and then if we get anxious, it's, we're doing that. And then we breathe fast. But the belly breathing, that's where the awesome sauce happens, right? Right there. You need to take that deep breath because, you know, and not only the belly breathing itself, but there are other things that play into that, like your posture, right? I can deep breathe from here, but I'm not opened up, right? So you need to really open up and sit up so that you can take that breathe, inhale, and just blow it out.
That is such a good part, posture. For an energy healer, when we align our posture and our spine, we're also aligning our energy centers. And
Mm.
then you think that our lungs are this instrument. So if you're collapsed, then you've collapsed your instrument, right? But when we're expanded, think about much more capability through our rib cage and our chest and our shoulders that we can expand through. That is such a good point. And it helps align our energies when we're that way too. So we're more in alignment, the body's more in alignment, you can get breath. All right, perfect. So fundamentals, belly breath,
Oh,
posture. What else?
posture. Um, there's I want to come back to that, but I'll tell you a few more breaths. There is nasal breathing, just simply breathing through your nose. Uh, and I'll just throw runners out there. Sometimes they get anxious or tired or whatever the case and breathe through their mouth. And it's nothing wrong with that, but it's best if you can just take the air in through your nose and inhale it out. Because when you take it in through your mouth, you diffuse it, you tend not to get the good belly breath and all that good stuff. So you're kind of defeating the purpose, and it's definitely not improving your performance. That's for sure. Um,
100%. When they start breathing in their mouth, I think like we're not dogs. We can't pant and cool ourselves off with mouth open breathing, right? Like that's not how it works for us. So we're not
exactly.
dogs. We don't need to pant. It's in through the nose. Okay, good reminder.
Yes.
Yes.
Also, there's the rhythmic breathing, right? So breathing, inhaling 3 steps and exhaling with 3 steps. And so, like when you move, you're moving in rhythm, you're in sync. You're like that lean, mean running machine. Or if you're walking or whatever the case, when you do it and you do it intentionally, you get a better result.
That makes sense. A rhythmic, kind of like when swimming, we go one, two, three,
Mhm.
right? One, two, three, right? There's a rhythm to it because I was, part of a club swim team. So I've never been a runner. If I'm running people, there's a bad man or a bear behind me chasing, and whatever is chasing me needs to die because I'm about to die. Okay. I don't run. So for me, I can see swimming, swimming, swimming. Yes. Rhythmic swimming. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Perfect. So rhythm. Yes. Such a great
Yes.
technique. What's next?
So I want to go back to kind of the breathing part. And I want to use an analogy here. So, breathing, basically, when you breathe, it's kind of like your body is kind of like the car, and your breath is kind of like the fuel, right? There are all different types of cars out there, little ones, high performance cars, just like there are all different types of fuel. Like you got the regular, the premium, the super premium. But you probably wouldn't put a super premium like in just a little putt putt, right? I mean, the gas is charged, but the car can't accept it. And so that's the way it is with the breathing. How we can use our oxygen is called VO2. How we move that oxygen and use it effectively and efficiently, uh, that is how we improve our breathing. I know a number of our smartwatches have some type of measurement for like VO2 max or that type thing. And so a lot of qualities go into it, like your age, blah, blah, blah. So mine tells, even with asthma, mine tells me that, like I'm at the top of the range, blah, blah, blah. But then it comes back and tell me that I can increase my breathing by doing more exercise. And then it does a side by side comparison with me and a elite marathon runner. Okay. big downer. So mine is like 38, and I think the runner was Sarah Hall. Hers was 60 something. But it's about the math, right? Definitely, she runs her marathons in half the time I run mine. It shows up in the breath, right? Because 30, 60. So that's all I'm saying. I'm just saying that you can definitely increase it by doing more breath work, working those lungs. The other thing, there is that misconception out there about carbon dioxide. A lot of people think that that's bad, but actually it's not. It's like a byproduct. It works hand in hand with the oxygen because when you pull the air in, it kind of synthesizes it and throws it out, kind of like the exhaust on a car, right? So they do work hand in hand. So I just wanted to bring those points up just so people can actually see that there is a correlation between the two. And that's where those breathing techniques come into play. You know, initially, when you want to find your breath, the one that we talked about first was the belly breathing. That's where we start. And the other thing, if you want to improve your breath, the thing that you want to do, like any other process improvement project, you have to understand where you're at on the breathing continuum, right? So there is a simple way to do it. Of course, you could pay tons and tons of money to get it tested, but there's something called a BOLT score, and I think it's breath oxygen level test. I believe that's what the acronym means, and it's very simple. And I think people should do it because it's very easy to do. So all you do is breathe in, exhale, and hold your breath, and you time it at the same time. And so you time it to see how long you can actually hold your breath. So here's the deal. If you are less can do it less than 20 seconds, you definitely need to practice on some of these techniques. But for a runner, if you're between 30 and 40, you're in your sweet spot. And anywhere beyond that, you're cooking with gas. So, and it looks like you're cooking with gas up there because you're you're really holding that breath. So that is something simple that we all can do at home.
Yeah. And that's because I've been practicing breath work.
There you go. Like hard work does pay off, right? You see
Hmm.
the benefits of the
Hmm.
work that you've done. And so when we talk about breath work, we're not talking about you need to really, I mean, I know in yoga practices, you spend a lot of time on breath work, but for the average person or the average runner, you can spend something like 5 minutes or less a day just practicing on improving your breath. And because we need to breathe to live, I think it's so important that we all take that step, and say that just like we work out, we have people that walk, we have people that run, we have, I don't know, high rocks and all of, all those other, yeah, oh yeah, all those other things. We should take care of our breath as well, because if the breath goes away, everything else goes away. And what I will say, when your breath starts to fail, it becomes a snowball effect. Everything else goes downhill from there.
Yes, 100%. Just like we said, everything is a practice, but it doesn't have to be like people think, oh, I need to meditate. I need to be in silence for 30 minutes. No, a 10-minute guided meditation in the morning or at night before you wake up in the day or before you go to bed at night is great. And if you add a few minutes of breathing in with that meditation, it's a
Hmm.
game changer. And that's been my one negotiable that I've done with myself is every morning I do 10 minutes of meditation before I get
Hmm.
out of bed. And with that, I do breath work, I do gratitude. That's at 10 minutes before I grab the phone, before the messages start coming, before anything happens. That's my time to really set the energy and the projection for the day. And I think if we create it, it becomes a habit. It doesn't become something we think about. It's what we do, right? We just do our breath work every day, just like we brush our teeth every day, right? You
Right.
stand on one foot, you practice your balance while you're brushing your teeth, right? There's these
Mhm.
little things that you can start doing that can help with balance, that can help with, stability, that can help with alignment, can help with mindset. But it starts with those small little changes, right? So that,
Yeah,
5 minutes a day, I love that's doable for someone, right?
it
And so
is.
if they have 5 minutes and they're just starting out, what would be a great technique for our beginners that are listening to try for today to start for this week?
Okay. Step one, assess where you're at. That's do the bolt treatment. The other thing is, I recommend starting out, and I do this myself, with about 5 cleansing breaths when you get up in the morning. To me, that sets the stage for my day. I would say practice on your belly breathing, and also you can practice on your nasal breathing. I think just doing those, well, I want to say 3 things, because first it's about awareness. And I want people to stop just breathing. I want them to breathe with intention and purpose.
Mhm.
Yes, you have to do that. And when you breathe with intention and purpose, you begin to notice your body. And when you can take control of your body, you can make improvements, right? And it starts with your breath. It does.
I love that. So,
Mhm.
belly breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Make sure the belly expands. 5 cleansing breaths in the morning. So, let's put
Mhm.
that out to the breath challenge for anybody that wants to play with us. I call them play shops, not workshops. I don't call it homework. I call it play work, right? So, if you guys want to play with us this week and have a little fun and see where, if how it feels to start off to the morning, set
Mhm.
your intention, maybe do some gratitude, some mindset work with it, but try those 5 cleansing breaths. And so it would look like this: when you go in through your nose, your belly should expand, and then your chest rises, and then it all collapses down, right? So
Yep.
belly, chest, and out, and
Mhm.
in, and out. And at least a good 3 to 4 seconds, I would say, in and out. And let's do those 5 in the morning. I think that is a great way to start our audience off for today. And
That
so in the
is.
comments today, we'll make sure that you are going to get access to Cynthia's book so you can learn more.
Mhm.
Those will be in the comments when we get done live. We'll make sure that we're streaming this into the groups. And if you're wanting to share it, if you are liking it, make sure you like, comment. If you're watching the replay of it, make sure you put #replay on it and share it with a friend, someone else that might need to learn some of these tips and tricks about breathing, because it is your superpower and we all want you to tap into this power. So, Cynthia,
Yes.
any final words for our listeners for tonight?
Yes. I want you to definitely find your breath, uh, use the techniques that we talked about. Also, in the comment section, I'm going to put in the key words that we use today, the different breath techniques, the VO2 max, all that. And in addition to the challenge, I'm going to give you some reflection questions so that you can just take a look at and just think about, um, and see how you can improve your breath. Because when you improve your breath, number one, you're improving your quality of life, and that plays a big role in your longevity.
Yes, absolutely. Vitality, longevity, all the things, right? It
Mhm.
totally improves it. And so for this next 4 weeks, we're going to be meeting on Tuesday nights live, same time, same bat channel, in the group, in the Empowering Wellness virtual Facebook group, the book club. You can put any kind of thoughts or patterns or quotes or any kind of inspirations that you want into the group, so that way you have a chance to be able to give some inspirations. I love that you're going to give us a little bit of more info in the comments for today. And if
Mhm.
you guys have any questions, just write them into the comments. We would love to be able to answer them. It is so great to
Mhm.
have so many people joining in live. If you're watching live, put #live. If you're watching the replay, put #replay. And we're so excited for you to start with every morning 5 cleansing breaths. Five, 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 right? Woo!
Ah,
5 cleansing breaths. Amazing. Any final thoughts, my dear?
I think we got it. We don't want to overload them. We don't want to
No.
scare them off. My academic part is coming out. They got homework, so
Play work, play work. It's all
oh,
about
play
play.
work. Yes,
Play,
I like
play,
that.
play, play. We're going to do our play work. All right. Well, Cynthia, it was so great to connect with you tonight. I look forward to next week, guys. Share this with those that want to tap into their superpower. And remembering, breath is our superpower, it is our life force energy. So the more we practice, the more life we get, the more longevity, the vitality that we have. We tap into it. So thank you so much from my heart to yours. Peace and namaste.
Namaste. Bye bye.